Good morning, dear students. As usual, let us start our class with a silent prayer. Today, we will be studying a new chapter, that is chapter 3 of Expense, written by Francis Bacon. Before entering to this chapter, let me introduce about our writer Francis Bacon. Francis Bacon was born at York House in London. Bacon had his education at Trinity College, Cambridge. He became a member of Parliament in 1584. He wrote several papers on public affairs. One of his letters was Letter of Advice to Queen Elizabeth of his literary works. The most important are the essays. His prose style is compact and proverbial. His essays are full of worldly wisdom. This essay is a guide to show us how we should manage our financial matters. Alexander Pope called Bacon the wisest man of mankind. In this essay, he instructs his readers to be discreet in spending money. According to him, one should spend only a fixed portion of his income and should personally look after his affairs. Here, I will be reading the chapter and will be giving you the explanation of the chapter. Each paragraph I will be reading and followed by you will get the explanation. We will be coming to the first paragraph. Riches are for spending and spending for honor and good actions. Therefore, extraordinary expense must be limited by the worth of the occasion. For voluntary undoing may be as well for a man's country as for the kingdom of heaven. Coming to the explanation, money and wealth are to be spent one day. People spend money for enhancement of one's own standing in society and for better living. Money is also spent for charity, social works and other such benevolent causes. While spending large sum of money or investing a good amount of wealth, one must weigh the wisdom such putting off resources. Spending for the causes of one's country or for noble and lofty causes can be justified as good enough reasons. Coming to the next slide. But ordinary expense ought to be limited by a man's estate and governed with such regard as it be within his compass, are not subject to deceit and abuse of servants, and ordered to the best show that the bills may be less than the estimation abroad. Coming to the explanation, normal day-to-day expenses of the apparently routine type need to be done common commensurate with one's income and assets. No money should be spent for furthering dishonest and immoral causes. Servants are valued human assets, and the employer must never spend any money to dishonor or humiliate them. Expenses must be less than the income and should not exceed it. That is very important. Whenever we spend the money, we have to see the income and accordingly we have to spend the money. Coming to the next slide. Certainly, if a man will keep but of even hand, his ordinary expenses ought to be but to the half of his receipt, and if he think to wax rich but to the third part, it is no business for the greatest to descend and look into their own estate. Ideally, expenses must be around half of one's income. For those who want to become rich, their expenses should be less than their incomes. To be calculative and cautious in spending is not a main thing. Keeping an eye on the income while spending is a prudent policy. That is what the whole lesson he is focusing, that when we spend the money, we have to think about the income. According to that only you must spend the money. Coming to next slide. Some forbear it not upon negligence alone, but doubting to bring themselves into melancholy. In respect they shall find it broken, but wounds cannot be cured without searching. He that cannot look into his own estate at all had need both choose well those whom he employed and change them often, for new are more timorous and less subtle. Some people do not stick to these principles of judicious spending, not only out of negligence but also for the fear of feeling sad. Inevitably, abandoning caution in spending leads to their financial ruin. If a ruined man wants to rebuild his finances, he must entrust the job of scrutinizing his budget to someone else who can do the job dispassionately. A person can't scrutinize his own spending patterns. Even the finance manager brought in to restore the health of the finances needs to be placed periodically. This is because a newly recreated finance manager will tend to be very alert and strict. Coming to next stanza, this paragraph. He that can look into his estate but seldom, it behoveth him to turn all to certainties. A man had need, if he be plentiful in some kind of expense, to be as saving against in some other. As if he be plentiful in diet, to be saving in apparel. If he be plentiful in the heart, to be saving in the stable, and the like. Coming to the explanation. A person who is too preoccupied to manage his own business, property and wealth must hand over this charge to an outsider who knows the job better. Due to certain circumstances, if a person overspends on something, he should cut his expenses on other items to neutralize the excess outgo of funds. For example, if he spends too much on food, he must economize on his clothing expenses. In the same way, if the person spends excess amount in furnishing his living quarters, he must spend much less on building his stable. Coming to next slide. For he that is plentiful in expenses of all kinds will hardly be preserved from decay. In clearing of a man's estate, he may as well hurt himself in being too sudden as in letting it run on too long, for hasty selling is commonly as disadvantageable as interest. A man who spends without restraint is bound to come to grief sooner than later. Consequently, he may impulsively sell his estate or liquidate any such wealth to free himself from the creditors. Such sudden action is really very harmful to his long-term interest. Coming to next slide. Besides, he that clears at once will relapse, for finding himself out of straits, he will revert to his customs. But he that cleareth by degrees induceth a habit of frugality and gains as well upon his mind as upon his estate. The man who frees himself from his debts so suddenly will revert to his ways of extravagant spending. This is devastating. Of the other hand, and debt ridden person who liquidates his loans gradually by incremental cut in his expenses will be really happy in the long run. This is because the period of controlled spending will change his extravagant habits and he will imbibe the habits of thrift and caution. Coming to the last slide. Certainly, who hath a state to repair may not despise small things, and commonly it is less dishonorable to abridge petty charges than to stoop to petty gettings. A man ought to worldly to begin charges which once begun will continue, but in matters that return not he may be more magnificent. Lastly, it is much less embarrassing to make small cuts in one's expenses than to become a bankrupt and invite ridicule from the society. A man in such distress might resort to pity and often criminal ways to get some money. This is the worst case scenario. A man who judicially stays clear of such pitfalls will be treated with respect by the society. Here the chapter is finishing, and when we take this chapter, the content is that about the proper money management only, how we can manage the money properly which is getting in our hand. Money is not meant to be wasted, it is rather to be spent usefully and meaningfully. Every penny has its own value, it should be spent judiciously. As is the utility of item you undertake to purchase. Money should be spent open-heartedly on necessities. It should be spent half-heartedly on comforts. The purchases of luxurious should be neglected, spent on the maintenance of assets, spent on the health and education, spend the least on fashion items, eat well and clothe yourselves well. Money should add you your joy and curtail your sorrows. Thank you so much.